You're going to want to start with a largish pan like this that has a well-fitted lid. Then you're going to need to chop up an onion. You might only need half of the onion, depends on how much you like that flavor in your rice. Or you can get one of those packages of pre-diced onion at the grocery store. You're probably going to want to convince yourself that powdered onion is going to work just as well, but it won't. Next, you're going to want to measure out 2 cups rice to 3 cups broth. Then you're going to want to turn on your stove to about, let me see, about that high. I would call that maybe medium high. And then you're going to put about a tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a half of butter in the pan. I don't have any butter today, so I'm just going to use some oil. And that's going to be okay too. Butter just gives it a creamier flavor. Let that butter melt down most of the way, or if it's oil, let it heat up for maybe 30 seconds. And then you're going to take the onion that you chopped and just put it right on in there. And then the instructions always say, cook until the onions are transparent. Well, you don't want to take that too literally, but basically you're trying to soften the onions so that later when you eat the rice, you're not biting into a giant chunk of onion. You're just trying to use it for flavoring. While the onions are humming along, I usually go to my refrigerator and get out my Better Than bouillon. I've been using this instead of the bouillon powder, but I don't know, the bouillon powder is fine too. A tablespoon of this bouillon stuff is usually about right, since you're also adding broth for flavor. Moving right along, footloose and fancy free. I've probably been softening these onions for about 3 minutes, and they're getting really close to when I need to do the next step. In fact, maybe I'll do it now. The next step is called browning the rice. You're not going to actually brown the rice, but you are going to move the rice around in this oil and onion mixture. And keep your spoon moving. You'll see the little rice grains actually go from more, they're going to start looking a little bit whiter, the ones that have hit the pan. Move that around for about a minute, minute and a half. Okay, that was only a minute, but I'm going to add my bouillon now. This is not going to slip off the spoon, so I got to do it with my other finger. Okay, so I stirred the bouillon into the rice a little bit. I didn't get it all the way incorporated. I just moved it in, and then now I've added my my 3 cups of water, and all I'm doing is moving the spoon around the edges and the bottom to make sure that no rice is stuck. And the rice is going to look just covered with liquid, something like that. If I want my dish to be less salty, sometimes I'll do 2 cups of water, or broth, 2 cups of broth and 1 cup of water. Now I'm standing here waiting for little bubbles to pop up on the surface of the water to show that it's getting really nice and hot. Then I'm gonna put the lid on and turn the heat all the way down. I'll show you that in a sec. Okay, those bubbles are emerging. So now, on my stove, I actually turn the front burner off, and I turn the back burner on, because even the low on my front burner is still not low enough. So I'm gonna go to about that high of a flame. On my stove, it's just almost at the low. Then I move my rice over that flame, put the lid on, and then I'm gonna set my timer. Hey Siri, set the timer for 15 minutes.
15 minutes, starting now.
Okay, so I've set my timer for 15 minutes. In 15 minutes, I'll come back and take a look at the rice and see if there's any liquid still sitting on the top. If there isn't, then I turn my flame off, but I'll show you that in a sec. Ooh, and never ever lift the lid on the rice to see how it's doing in those 15 minutes. Just don't do it. Ever. Don't ever do that. Okay, so I'm back to check on the rice after 15 minutes, but I don't know if you can see, there's still some pretty decent amount of liquid sitting on the top of the rice. So I'm gonna go ahead and add another 2 minutes to my timer. Okay, that 2 minutes is over, and I even went another 30 seconds above that just to be sure. There's still a tiny bit of liquid that I can see bubbling through the rice, but no, it's not a problem because I'm gonna turn off the heat and I'm gonna leave the lid on for another 5 minutes to let that steam keep working. Okay, here we go. It's been 5 minutes. Now I'm just gonna get a fork and fluff the rice. Or maybe a spork, since all the forks are in the dishwasher. And that's it. That's how you make chicken flavored rice. I gotta go to work. Bye.